Welcome back, gang, to another episode of Invisible Man Chapter 21 Analysis. In this episode, we will be covering Chapter 21 of The Invisible Man. Not The Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. Dog. Okay. So basically, it starts out, let's just go brief overview first. It starts out, and he gets back to his building after witnessing, Todd Clifton getting shot and killed, and he's pretty out of it. He's not really, he's thinking, but like weird, you know. And basically, he's obviously not in the best state of mind, and he has that weird dancing thingy that he saw Todd with, and he hid it in his briefcase, and he has it now. Back in his room, he's trying to figure out how it works because he saw Clifton making it like dance and stuff, and he tries a whole bunch of things with it and can't make it do anything, and then he notices a small little black thread on the back of it that makes it do all these movements and things, and then the girls he ignored in the lobby of his building knock on his door and ask if Clifton is dead because they heard the news, and he's like, yeah, I saw it. And then they freak out, and he thinks, he feels very responsible for Clifton's death. Somehow he feels like he should have gone and like fought him so that they both would have been arrested but not shot. And from this he takes on the responsibility of Clifton's funeral and everything because he knows that there's no very relevant next of kin for him or anything like that. So he does all that, but then he also tries to make this march out of it, which he's very successful with later. But basically he tries to reach out to his higher-ups at the Brotherhood, but they're ignoring him entirely. He calls like 3 different places, none of them respond. So he decides to take matters into his own hands and basically reaches out to like churches and a whole bunch of old Brotherhood members in Harlem that left once he was kind of gone for a bit. And they all, and this takes place over 2 days, but we don't really go over that. And then we go to the march, and in the march there's a lot of people, and they go at first through these poor streets, and then they go to, I think, 7th Avenue to go to the park. And when they're doing that, they're walking up this hill, and he sees this man with some sort of horn instrument up in front of him, and he just thinks that's significant. And then he sees a man behind him who's singing louder than everybody else, and he's just kind of really prevalent in there. And his voice is mixing really well with the horned instrument above in the crowd. And then, okay, yes, Lars, okay. So once they're at the top of it, the top of this hill at the park where they're making this speech about him and everything, okay, he realizes that nobody else really can speak for him because he has really nobody else, that cares about him or anything. So the narrator starts making this speech, and the speech starts. Let me find it. The speech starts with him saying, "What are you waiting for me to tell you? What good will it do? What if I say that this isn't a funeral?" So basically, in this whole speech, it's really the narrator just going on and on and on about how nobody really knew this dude. He's just kind of an average dude, and then his life was cut short, and it basically could have been any one of them. That's kind of, it was kind of a depressing tone, I felt. And yeah, so there's this motif that happens all the way through the speech, where he kind of begins each section by like saying, so let me just repeat myself, and he says his name is Clifton, Todd Clifton, and then he brings up another point that kind of wraps around the entire speech. It's an interesting speech. It's kind of sad, but he just keeps on mentioning his name because he's saying that's all that he can actually tell the crowd, because they don't care about Todd Clifton and they don't know him, and they're just kind of there for this political thing. And although they are, he's still kind of sad that nobody knew him, it feels like. And he wishes that he could make the speech political, but he feels that he failed. And then at the end of the speech, he feels this tension coming from the crowd. Yeah, he feels this tension coming from the crowd, and he wants to harness that tension later. Like, it ends with him seeing these children with a sign. The sign say, I feel like the sign. Yeah, the sign said, "Brother Todd Clifton, our hope shot down." And it was these children just marching with the sign, kind of play marching. A little bit with some, like, tricycles and stuff. Thought that was interesting. And then, so, yeah, I felt social commentary by the author was probably, like, I don't know, it was like Todd Clifton, he's basically, I feel like he's trying to make it seem like it didn't really matter that Todd Clifton died, that it was just like another, I don't know how to, like an ant in an ant colony dying, like it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things because they aren't seen as individual people to their society. It's all very, I don't know. Yeah, that's really the only social commentary I feel was being said about it. And I think that resonated with the narrator, as well as he was making the speech and everything. But I think that probably isn't a turning point, but is a very significant stepping stone for him. And yeah, and then just characterization, he grows a little bit from the speech. He talks about invisibility for a little bit, not really, but kind of as a side alluded thing. Is pretty small chapter as far as content goes, I felt, but yeah, I mean the speech takes up about half of it, I feel, and it was a very repetitive speech, which I felt really was used to nail certain points about how he was just this dude, and it could have been any one of them that was there to be killed, obviously. And really, yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. This is Annoying Orange, by the way. Goodbye.